Hi Helen, how are
Hello.
you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I just want to have a quick chat to you today about professional communication skills that you use, and in your role as a doctor. So could you just tell me about a little bit about your role, what you do, and how communication is used?
Yep, so my current role is as an emergency registrar in a
Okay.
busy tertiary centre.
Yep.
So that involves communicating with both colleagues of various levels, from very junior staff to other inpatient specialists and my own specialist team, and then also with patients, and then other allied health groups, so physios, elderly care nursing staff, paramedics, people bringing people into the emergency department. So from a communication side of things, there's lots of different sort of types of communication, formal and informal,
Yeah.
and then to lots of different people, obviously, and then communicating with patients as
Yeah.
well.
So what kind of skills would you use there, like language, uh, both verbal and non-verbal, perhaps?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think with regards to just looking at patient communication, one thing that's found really important, as I've practiced over the years, and it's become more apparent that the non-verbal cues can be as important as what you say, is so emergency departments are very busy, but if you can find the time to sit down next to somebody so you're not leaning over them when you're talking to them, sitting down at their level, engaging with them, sitting forward, giving them some listening skills to say that you're appreciating and hearing what they're saying.
Yeah.
So they're non-verbal things, and then I think it's important as well, especially when it's very stressful situations like an ED, that you communicate back to them. So I often repeat a lot of the things that they've said to me to make sure that I'm hearing correctly, that so I know from a medical side of things what to base my decisions on, but also that they know that I've heard them.
Okay. Would you also try and keep your language as simple as you can when talking to the patient, and then use more technical language when talking to someone, one of your peers or colleagues?
Yeah, so I guess definitely keeping medical language out of the discussion when you're talking to patients.
Yeah.
But we have fairly twice a day or 3 times a day, first thing in the morning, in the evening, and then at night time, a very formal handover.
Okay.
And most of the time that's between all ranges of groups. So
Yeah.
there'll be registrars running it, and then we'll have anyone from interns and medical students with us. So as much as sometimes you want to use quite jargonized terms,
Yeah.
it's not always appropriate.
Yeah.
And again, with paramedics and nursing staff, like acronyms are everywhere in medicine, and they're very difficult to get away from. And it's very important to try and sort of keep away from that.
Yeah, we do. From my standpoint, we do use a lot of abbreviations and shorthand of things, and it's a lot of information to take in within 30 seconds about a patient. So you really got to keep that kind of thing out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, it's very much so. It's a difficult balance to strike, because often you'll have an emergency department full of sort of 5 resusc patients, and then 12 acute patients, and then short stay patients, waiting room patients, fast track patients, and then a whole heap of people in the waiting room.
Yeah.
You can't have the whole of the department on a ward round for an hour and a half talking in depth about things. So keeping, have you heard of the S-bar?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so that's the thing that's commonly used in handovers, and that's another acronym which stands for situation.
Yeah.
So you sort of make a statement as to the situation of the patient,
Yeah.
the background relevant information, the actions that have been taken, and then your recommendation as to how things would proceed. And that's a fairly standard, increasingly recognised way of doing safe handover tools.
Okay. And communication is obviously very vital. What happens if someone doesn't communicate effectively?
Badness.
Badness.
Generally, in all cases, communication is the key to so many things.
Yeah.
Like from a purely medical side of things, bad communication leads to bad patient management and ineffective patient management.
Yeah.
It also leads to numerous complaints and litigation. From a sort of medical legal standpoint, you're more likely to get into trouble from your communication, both verbal and written, than anything you do medically.
Yeah.
So, and then handing over patients is a very critical time. So poor communicators just mean that you end up not having a safe patient journey.
and we discuss a lot about ineffective communication can really ruin the relationship between the patient and the health practitioner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we try to do is make it try and relate as much as we can, but still keep it very professional. A lot of empathy, not a lot of sympathy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think nobody wants sympathy and sort of pity when they come in.
Yeah.
Even palliative care patients and people having the worst day of their life do not want pity or sympathy.
Okay.
And empathy, absolutely. And I think things like the non-verbal cues and those kind of things in situations really make the difference.
Like maybe like a hand on a shoulder or
hand on a shoulder, handshake. Not being afraid to show somebody that's husband's just died that you obviously don't want to be bawling your eyes out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you feel like you might want to if it's been particularly stressful resuscitation.
Yeah.
But a bit of time sitting down. Silence is a really important thing.
Okay, yeah.
People get really uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah. Well, we've learned a little bit about. Sorry to cut you off there, but we've learned a little bit about Indigenous culture and in the healthcare environment, and for them, silence is a way of sort of understanding the situation as well. Would you have to take into cultural considerations as well, given the diverse range of?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a whole heap of like intricacies, as I'm sure you've learnt about with Indigenous or communicating with Indigenous people, and especially as a female, and sometimes being in charge of a department, you'll have to delegate speaking to an Indigenous man to your next senior sort of male colleague who might look a bit older and might gain a little bit more respect, and that's sometimes difficult to sort of take on the chin, but it's a cultural thing. There's men's and women's business. There's not looking people in the eye without them initiating that. It's quite disrespectful. And then you've got things like that applies sometimes to different cultures. When I've been working out west, lots of people won't want me to see their relative because I'm a small 5'2" English girl, and they're just like, well, I want to see a male doctor, and I used to find that very offensive, but I think over time I've got thicker skin. I've learned to deal with that, but there's absolutely different cultural approaches to communication, and it's learning those things and not taking it too much to heart, but appreciating that that's really important for them, and that probably is the most important thing that you'll do in your interaction with them, aside from just listening to them.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been very helpful and insightful. I wish you all the best.
No worries. Thanks, Hunter.
Thank you.